I never planned this, not like everyone thinks. This moment found me, before I found courage, before I found peace, before I found myself. Wedding confirmed, they say, smiles everywhere around me. Congratulations fill my phone, but silence fills me, because you don't know what this cost me. I watched love leave, I watched hope starve, I watched patience bleed. Still I stayed standing, still I kept breathing, still I kept waiting. People think weddings shine, flowers, music, laughter, lights, but they never see the nights before yes, the tears before promises, the fear before forever. I wasn't always ready, I wasn't always loyal, I wasn't always strong, but I was honest with my broken heart, with my restless soul. They saw my smile, they missed my scars, they praised my patience, they ignored my pain, they clapped my decision, they skipped my story. Wedding confirmed feels loud, yet my heart whispers, slow, soft, trembling truth. That love scared me, that commitment terrified me, that forever felt heavy. I loved once deeply, lost once painfully, trusted once blindly, and paid everything with sleepless nights, with silent prayers. You don't know this, but I almost left, almost disappeared quietly, almost chose loneliness, almost chose darkness over another heartbreak. Every ring has weight, every promise has history, every yes has ghosts. Standing behind courage, standing behind confidence, standing behind my smile, I ask God alone, late nights crying softly. If love was curse, if marriage was trap, if hearts survive vows, if souls remain free. Wedding confirmed today, but faith confirmed earlier. When I chose healing, when I forgave myself, I forgave them. When I stood again, this isn't fairy tale, this is survival story. This is bruised hope, learning to trust again, learning to breathe again, learning to love again. They see engagement photos, I see old wounds. They see future dreams, I see past storms. They see celebration, I see silent battles. You never saw me when I doubted love, when I blamed destiny, when I questioned God, when I questioned myself, when I broke internally. I wore strength daily, like armor heavy, smiled convincingly always, so nobody noticed how fragile I felt, how scared I was. Wedding confirmed headline, but confession starts here. This union wasn't easy, this choice wasn't sudden, this love wasn't blind, this decision wasn't simple. I studied their eyes, looked for honesty, searched for safety, listened to actions, not sweet words, not temporary emotions, because I learned painfully. Love without respect destroys, promises without effort rot, attention without intention fades, marriage without friendship collapses, forever without God fails. So when I say yes, know it's deliberate, know it's healed, know it's grounded, know it's prayed, know it's earned. I am not naive, I am not desperate, I am not settling, I am choosing wisely. After losing everything, after rebuilding myself. Wedding confirmed means trust, not blind foolish trust, but earned reliable trust, built through consistency, built through patience, built through accountability. I watched how they react during silence moments, during disagreements quietly, during stress situations, during misunderstandings painfully, during uncomfortable truths, because love shows character, not during happiness, but during pressure, not during attention, but during neglect, not during ease. I am not young in heart experience. I am not innocent in emotional lessons. Life taught harshly, love taught harder. Wedding confirmed shocks many, because they remember broken me, because they saw lonely me, because they doubted healing, because they doubted growth, because they doubted God. But God never doubted. When I lost belief, when I lost hope, when I lost direction, He stayed close. He stayed patient. This marriage isn't escape from loneliness or pressure. This marriage is alignment between healed souls, between honest intentions, between shared values. I didn't rush timing. I respected seasons. I waited for peace, not butterflies, chaos, not emotional highs, not social expectations. Wedding confirmed quietly today, but transformation happened privately, behind closed doors, behind tear-soaked prayers, behind long reflections, behind surrendered fears. I chose love again, despite scars warning me, despite memories haunting me, despite fear whispering run, despite past screaming stop, despite logic hesitating, because sometimes faith speaks, softer than fear, yet stronger than doubt, calmer than anxiety, deeper than wounds, clearer than pain. I am still afraid, but courage includes fear. I still tremble inside, but commitment needs bravery. I still remember past, but healing doesn't erase memory. Wedding confirmed means promise. To choose daily effort, to choose communication, to choose forgiveness, to choose respect, to choose growth. I am not perfect. They are not perfect, but intention. You stayed till here, so listen carefully now. Cause truth gets heavier when masks finally fall. Part 2 begins here, where honesty stops hiding, where strength stops acting, where heart speaks raw. Wedding confirmed yesterday, but reality whispered louder, saying love demands sacrifice, more than pretty vows. I didn't tell you how scared I am, not of commitment, but of losing myself. I watched marriages break, not from hatred, but from silence, from unspoken expectations. I saw people change after wedding applause, when effort slowly faded, when respect felt optional. That fear followed me, like shadow quietly, asking hard questions. Late, lonely nights. Will love stay patient when attraction dulls, when routine replaces excitement, when life applies pressure? Will they listen then? When I feel unheard, when emotions overwhelm, when words come wrong? I tested these fears by observing carefully during ordinary moments when nobody performed love. I watched reactions closely when plans failed unexpectedly, when tiredness showed faces, when patience was required. Love isn't grand gestures. Love is daily behavior. In boring repetition, in inconvenient kindness, they stayed consistent, not dramatic or loud, but steady and present, even when unseen. That calmed something deep inside me, a restless child, still afraid abandonment, because my past taught love can leave suddenly, without warning or explanation, without accountability or closure. I learned survival skills, not romance fairy tales. I learned emotional defense, not blind surrender. So my heart built walls, high and quiet, to protect remaining softness from careless hands. Part 2, Confession. Those walls still exist. I didn't demolish them. I learned to open gates. Marriage doesn't erase fear. It negotiates with fear. It asks courage daily, not perfection overnight. I chose honesty instead. I spoke fears aloud, without sounding weak, without hiding vulnerability. And something changed there. They didn't dismiss me. They didn't minimize pain. They listened fully. Listening heals more than advice ever could, than promises ever made, than gifts ever given. Wedding confirmed after that. After I felt safe. After I felt heard. After I felt respected. But there is deeper truth. One people won't like. One people avoid hearing. One people deny loudly. Love alone isn't enough. Attraction alone fades. Intentions alone collapse. Marriage needs discipline. Discipline to stay kind. When anger rises, discipline to stay faithful. When temptation whispers, discipline to communicate. Instead of shutting down, discipline to repair damage. Instead of keeping score, I didn't marry romance. I married responsibility. I married accountability. I married growth. That doesn't sound viral, but that sounds sustainable. That doesn't sound exciting, but that sounds peaceful. Another confession quietly. I'm still learning love, not chasing intensity anymore, but choosing stability now. Butterflies don't build homes. Consistency does slowly. Chemistry doesn't raise families. Character does patiently. So if you envy me for wedding confirmation, please understand this. I envied peace once. I wanted calm nights, not dramatic affection. I wanted emotional safety, not chaotic passion. That desire matured me from fantasy to foundation, from chasing feelings to choosing values. Part 2C continues deeper. Because marriage mirrors you, it exposes selfish habits. It magnifies unresolved wounds. I'm aware of mine. Control tendencies sometimes. Silence when overwhelmed. Pride during disagreements. I didn't hide those. I put them forward, not pretending perfection, but offering honesty, because marriage isn't marketplace where flaws get refunded. Marriage is workshop where flaws get refined. I chose someone willing to grow together, to confront discomfort, to prioritize healing. Still there's one fear I barely admit, the fear of effort, stopping after security. Because rings don't maintain love. Effort does relentlessly. Presence does intentionally. Respect does consistently. So I promised myself, before promising them, never stop dating, never stop listening, never stop choosing kindness, never weaponize silence, never belittle emotions, never mock vulnerability. These vows matter more than ceremonial words, than scripted promises, than rehearsed speeches. Wedding confirmed publicly, but commitment confirmed privately, through conversations unseen, through boundaries respected. I want you to know, this marriage isn't escape from loneliness or pressure or societal expectations. This marriage is alignment of pace and purpose, of values and vision, of faith and future. And yes, I'm scared. But fear isn't warning always. Sometimes fear means growth. Sometimes fear means importance. If it didn't matter, I wouldn't tremble. I wouldn't reflect deeply. I wouldn't choose carefully. Part 2, ending approaches. But one more truth, one that defines everything. One,